Hello and welcome to another episode.
SuggesTing.
What the hell? Anyway, where was I? Today we are looking at.
What is he doing? He can't even release a regular video.
Hey, I can. There was that time.
Back when we first started. Cute.
Anyway, let's see if I'll be suggesting Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. Hellblade is a psycho thriller story game which will have you traversing the land of Northmen in an effort to claim back a loved one's soul. You'll be playing as Senua with her many voices, and while you explore, taking on battles with both foes and yourself, it takes you through quite the journey, and as someone who is mortified of anything horror, I prepared myself for the worst. The world is very linear, and when you get to an important area, it will open up with things to find. But it isn't boring because the world is in small pockets, and if I had any criticism, it would be that you walk so slow and your sprint is a light jog. It isn't a big deal, but as someone who often misses something on the first time round and has to backtrack, it turned it into more of a chore. There is one collectible, and that is the Lore Stones. This will give a friend's perspective on the way of the gods and the Vikings. They are often just hidden enough for you to go straight past them, and it is possible to hit places where you cannot backtrack. Trust me, I learned that the hard way, and you really do want to get them because it will gain you an extra cutscene before the final boss, which will add some nice lore to this whole adventure. The puzzles are fantastic, and besides the whole intrigue of Senua and her psychosis, it was my favourite parts. The best and possibly the hardest one was the trickery of Valravn. The way it worked was every gateway had two different perspectives which would have an active change on the world. I found this occasionally weird to activate, but I loved this puzzle. And I didn't feel like I was being robbed or this game was being stupid. It was more that I was being that. I just want to say how much I really did appreciate these puzzles, and it's a nice break from the, psychosis, horror, and heavy lore. Before you say it, because I know you will, yes, this is a predominantly story, exploration game, and the fighting is the last thing on this game's mind, but I have a few things to say, even if it isn't much. The fighting is super basic. We'll have the following: light attack, heavy attack, kick, block, parry, and its charging variants. It's well animated, it definitely looks good, and feels more on the slow side, but that's generally how it all flows, so it's not out of place. The dodging is simple. It's better used to position yourself for multiple enemies, because if it's 1v1, you should be parrying. Speaking of parrying, once you figure out the timing, it is beautiful. In the whole 10 hours I played, not once did I get fed up with that sound and badass counter. It doesn't feel natural at first, but once you have it cracked, as I said, you will do it every time, because fun fact, you don't even need focus if you land a successful parry. So there is one stress gone for you. There is no tutorial, so you will have to play around with the fighting to learn it, but they give you plenty of chances to do so. And it would often happen where you would be like, okay, when is this fight ending? Because there would just be wave after wave of fighting, with it not being overly difficult, it kind of drags on. There are a few enemy variants, and they are the following: Warrior, which is a grunt; Protector, because shields; Keep Guard, who is an absolute tank and will cause a lot of trouble; and last off is the Revenant. They are fast moving, rocking dual axes, so get your dodge ready and parry ready, because you will need it. The bosses are all different when it comes to their moveset, and while I enjoyed them, it's hard to distinguish really what you had to do to win, because you know how I won? I parried them, and when I couldn't, I dodged. So while they were interesting and I didn't get bored, did it really make me do anything different to overcome them? No. I'm aware you could say this about many games, but it would have been nice to have something I could do that would mix the whole process up. This is one of those games where the story is everything, so I'm going to very loosely cover what happens, because if you like what you see, this is something you truly need to experience firsthand. In this journey, you're playing as Senua, who is a Pict, where she'll be heading to the land of the Norse gods to claim a loved one's soul back, so that he may rest in peace. But this is different. There is a heavy theme of psychosis, so although you are technically travelling alone, you are never without a voice in your ear, adding self-doubt, anxiety, odd bouts of confidence, and so many more emotions, which truly makes this game unique. First, you get through Soot, who is a fire giant from Muspelheim. This has a heavy feel of terror, and obviously lots of burning and screaming. It was funny because I almost never died from a fight, but I died 3 times to the instant kill flames where I went the wrong way. And then when I actually fought him, I didn't know how to parry it this time, so I couldn't relax because it wasn't very varied. It was dodge, attack, and focus. The next area was my favourite, which is odd because I would say that if there was a horror section, it was this one, and that is Val Raven. When you weren't looking through gates and you weren't being spooked by the ominous setting and tricky of tracking him down, his boss fight was also my favourite because I had to track him more in the fight and he throws his weapons, which makes the parry a bit cooler because I felt like a Jedi just whacking them back at him. When both are defeated, you see Hela on a bridge. They describe her well. She's horrifying, the half-rotten daughter of Loki. But she breaks your sword, and this will lead you to a series of trials which will end with you getting the sword of a god. It was actually in these trials that I missed a single law stone, and I couldn't return. I swear I'm not salty! Anyway, each trial varies nicely, and not one feels the same. I'm going to give you a mini spoiler warning here because I'll be jumping to the end of the game now. Senua is in the final battle. She has finally made it back to Hela with a blade that can kill the gods. You fight foe after foe, and this is where it got funny because the game tells you to give up. It's literally impossible to win, but this is such a weird concept for me. I'm competitive, I try hard, I sweat of all sweats if you will, and after loads of parries, I can't help myself! I can't help myself! It's involuntary dodging and parrying perfectly! I finally gave up, and thus it all reveals that this whole battle was that of the mind. Hellblade is a cinematic, psychosis-filled journey which will take you through a roller coaster of emotions. I found this game way more intriguing than I did scary. It will challenge you with the puzzles, but not the fighting, and it's a perfect length for this kind of game. It's roughly 10 hours, and while I am recommending this game, it comes with a catch. Use everything I've told you in this video to see if it's something you could invest in. But with that note, I am suggesting Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.